So another part of our challenge is, I hate to say it, MailChimp. We've got people opting out on that, and then I'm having to pay to use that file once a month.
Okay.
So I'd much rather have that data live.
Okay.
That's what.
It's a fundamental. I mean, not specifically targeted against MailChimp. It's widespread across all of the marketing automation platforms. That what they're currently doing is deploying their own unsubscribe link, I think is what you're talking about, into the email, the communication. And then they're taking that unsubscribe and they're holding a database on it themselves. It's a fairly common problem, I'll be honest. And there's a reason why it's happening, and there's some negative sides to it. Well, first of all, you've already said you're paying for that file once a month, so then you're loading that back into Salesforce once a month, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Already you've got a 30-day delay, and that's if you do it instantly on the day you receive the file, and I'm sure it probably gets put into a work schedule and doesn't get done for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So from someone a customer believing that they've unsubscribed to actually being removed from your system could realistically be 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Possibly. That doesn't really give, in my opinion, the transparency and choice that GDPR is all about.
Mm-hmm.
The second element to that is if you don't pay for that, in effect, you can never leave MailChimp or said ex-provider because they hold your suppression list, your unsubscribe list.
Mm-hmm.
So you're forced to pay for that. There's a number of things that we can do to mitigate that with Cassie, and the first one would be to build and deploy your own links straight from the Cassie solution. Now, why would I expect you to do that? Well, firstly, it'd work in real time. So any unsubscribe link that you built and deployed into any communication would trigger straight back and update Cassie immediately.
And update Salesforce.
And update Salesforce.
All the other data, right.
That's right. We've created a bi-directional link to Salesforce, so we push that information out. Salesforce pulls that information, whichever we need to do. But you're absolutely right. A, it happens in a live environment. So B, the next benefit to that is that actually you retain your unsubscribe list. It isn't being held by a third-party organisation. It's sat here. This is your data.
Yeah, well, I have got an exact scenario where we've sent emails, it's been unsubscribed, and then subsequently we've called people, and the person believes that they've unsubscribed from everything with the business.
Yeah. And I suppose that's a real difficult conversation to have on the telephone with that individual.
Doesn't go down too well.
I'm sure it doesn't. If we navigate through the quickfire navigation pane and we come down to the section called links, and you'll see within here again we have a typical links list. It only contains one, and that's a channel test. But we can add a new link again, and this allows me to build this link up. So again, we've got the names to here, but we could just call this an unsubscribe link.
So it's like building a UTM link.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. URN key replace field. So if we're using an email broadcast tool that replaces any information, any of the identifiers, we can do that in here. Source code replace field, we can add that information in here. Response channels, we can again granularize this to the actual channels that we're going to be responding via. So, let's say for instance, we want to record that this has come in whatever manner. It's come through MailChimp as an unsubscribe.
Or an individual campaign or something.
Absolutely,
like that.
Absolutely, that's the information. Again, then we pick the statements that we want to be using here, okay, and we've already built up those statements, and I've shown you how we do that and how easy that is to build up those statements. What's the action? So what's going to happen once we've clicked? What's the next stage action? Do we want to navigate to a confirmation page and say, thank you?
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Or even just, real positive messages, that actually we as a business have registered this information you're giving us, and we will treat your remember this is a personal information platform offering transparency and choice. We're going to deal with this correctly.
And we've done what you asked us to.
We've done what you asked us to do. Mm-hmm. We could even trigger out confirmation emails. It really, it's up to you what we do here. And where are we going to be forwarded to afterwards? What's going to actually happen? So once we've built that unsubscribe link, we have this link appear over here. And what it will do is it will create a link for you, which you can pick up and deploy. You take this bit here, you cut and paste that into your email communication. It will provide you with an unsubscribe link that will be named as you've called it, or labelled as you've called it. The customer will click that. It will immediately update your individual record within Cassie. It will time, it will date stamp it, it will know where it's been brought in from, it will know the source code, it will know the statement wording that was provided. It is a full audit trail of every action that that customer makes.
Right. And I can audit that on GDPR inspection, for example.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that is one of the critical features and I suppose benefit of the system.
Yeah, that's what we're worried about.
Exactly. So at this moment, let's say we've installed this solution for you, we've already integrated it, so you have your cloud-based solution, you have the API coming in from Salesforce or the plugin, whichever we've used.
Yeah.
We've got a link as well with your selection tool, FastStats now, and we also have an output going out to MailChimp, but we've already navigated some of the challenges with these by deploying direct links into them. Well, actually, now we have that singular central view. We know that James Squires is sat in this database, and this database, but we have the singular view of him. Now, within the admin portal of the Cassie solution, you'd come into the back, you'd do some basic search requirements. I've just put in James and Squires here. We can see that we've done an exact match here against James Squires sat within the database. So here we've got some basic information about me just presented on the screen that allows me to validate that this is me. And we have 3 buttons over on the side here. We can view the contacts details, just like we do in Salesforce. We can view the preferences.
Yeah.
Or we can download an audit report. So let's just have a quick look at the buttons. The first one that we're going to look at is the actual details themselves. Remember, I've got a bi-directional API now connected up to Salesforce with you.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to update this record here with our company address, I can update that address line 1 over here. I can save the details, and not only am I updating details within Cassie, this is immediately pushing out on the API into Salesforce, so I'm updating records within Salesforce and vice versa. The second thing that we can do is we can actually look at the preferences that have been provided by James or recorded within the system, and we can see we've actually got 26 of them on the helpful summary there.
Yeah. Well, and when they expire and things like that?
Absolutely. By drilling into all of the detail, we can see all of that. But remember, the system is managing that for you all in the background as well already. These are the interesting fields. This tells me whether it was an opt-in or an opt-out. So it tells me whether it was a consent gathering question and what my response was to that at that moment in time. It brings through where form IDs were, where I actually interacted with all of this information. So it gives me a lot of detail here that I can start to look at, and I can drill into these. I can find the statement IDs in there. So I've really got that ability to be able to interrogate the data.
But from a subject access data request point of view, you can pull that report out and away you go at that point.
That's correct. The third button was download an audit report. And that gives me an opportunity here to be able to print off. And remember, the way that our system works, it works transactionally. So what I mean by that, Simon, is if on the 1st of January you opted out to SMS communication about new vehicle sales, but on the 1st of February you opted into that communication, SMS vehicle sales, and then on the 1st of March you opted out to that communication, because we store this transactionally, you'll see the 1st of January opt-in, the 1st of Feb opt-out, and you'll see the 1st of March
There's
opt-in
no
again.
ambiguity whatsoever.
No ambiguity. It'll tell you the form or where you interacted, through what response channel, to what statement ID. It'll have the privacy notice you were shown at the time.
On which channel, etc.
Which channel, everything.
Right. Yeah.
That's how this audit trail needs to work. If I click on download report, I can start to see that that's being formed. I'll find my 26 preferences here produced for me in a downloadable extract report. It gives me all of the details I need to know. Where was I interacting, through a public portal, through a form?
Right.
What was it about? What was the statement? The time and date stamp against that. If I just scroll across, I can see all my time and date stamps. I've not set up source codes, response channels, dates added, etc. within this particular environment, but that report is instantaneous. And one of the biggest challenges some of my customers had before they utilised the system was that challenge of them saying, James, I've been given a subject access request by an individual. I'm currently going to have to look in 10 different data silos and databases to try to find that individual.
Cabinet, yeah.
Then round all of that up together, bring it all together, and then produce a report that I send back to the individual. Well, we can't charge for subject access requests anymore. We have a reduced time frame, and quite frankly, that might be 2 or 3 weeks worth of manpower and work to do that. What our solution will do by having that singular central view is that the work we've put in to bring that into that singular record, we can then output within seconds. So all those weeks and weeks of and days of manpower have just gone.
And it's only going to get worse.
The trend's showing that it's getting worse. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you what it's going to do, but the trends are all showing.
Yeah.
As awareness comes to our rights as individuals, and SAR is a right, as we understand our rights under GDPR, yes, we're going to start demanding for this right more often.